In case you want to know what divorce looks like on day, oh God, I don't even know. It fucking sucks. And nobody tells you about this. Nobody. It's realizing, that you'll stop by the store and pick you up a box of cannolis because you want something sweet to eat. And you'll sit in your driveway and listen to Eric Church music. And you feel so all alone. That you don't know what to do. And it will fucking suck more than anything you've ever went through in your life. And everybody is so used to me being happy, and I am happy. But nobody tells you about the hard days that you're going to go through. And you're going to be like, what the hell is my life right now? And you will watch your ex move on. And you will watch him move in with another woman. And you will think, what have I done?
Okay, these are comebacks for people who are shaming you for being divorced. By the time I was 28, I was divorced twice. I'm 36 now, and I've been through a lot of conversations with people that were very condescending. So here are some things you can say. Everybody has exes. Mine just wanted to spend the rest of their life with me. How many baby daddies do you have? Sorry, your roster never made it past the situationship. I can understand why it would seem like a red flag to you that I promised forever and it didn't work out. Some of us have the courage to leave when it stops being good, instead of staying just to say we stayed. You shame divorce like staying with the wrong man is a flex. How many people have gotten down on one knee for you? Imagine judging someone for leaving what wasn't good for them. Staying miserable to prove a point is wild. I can see why no one's ever bought a ring for you. To be so for real though, I have 2 beautiful love stories, 2 beautiful weddings, and now I move through my life with no stress and no pressure to ever get married again. Don't let anybody shame you for being divorced. That's fucking crazy. I spent all of my 20s married. I could have spent all of my 20s hoeing.
You can sit up here and do all of this stuff. You can say all of this stuff, but I mean, at some point in time, and this is why men are walking away from relationships, you got to take accountability.
When I left my marriage, I was more lost than I'd ever been. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my life was going to look like. I didn't feel like I had a purpose anymore. And so a lot of that first year after leaving my marriage, growing up in a Christian home and feeling like divorce was, the unforgivable sin, I felt very alone and empty. And it was only by the grace of God that I really carried through that year, because God's love covered me in a way, and his peace covered me in a way that year that I genuinely didn't feel I deserved, that I genuinely didn't expect. I kind of felt like, this unlovable, unlikable, unworthy person.
I'm going to share something embarrassing, okay? This is really for the ladies. This is for the women who are getting divorced. Guys might get pissed off at me. This isn't really for you. This is about going from the big, gorgeous house to renting an apartment, which was my reality as somebody who had been married for over 20 years. I think my fucking house was my whole personality. You're very much a dual income couple. This divorce was going to come with both of us now living in other places. I think I was so attached to that identity that I was terrified about, what does this mean when I don't have this anymore? What does this mean for how successful I have or haven't been in life?
So last night I approached my soon-to-be ex-husband and I asked him straight up, so it seems like you've wanted this divorce for a long time. And it seems like you purposefully sabotaged the end of our relationship so that I would break up with you. So in a moment where you saw that I was already having a hard time because we weren't in a good place, and I'm really stressed with work and I have a lot of stuff going on with just being a mom and being a full-time fitness instructor teaching 20 classes a week, why didn't you just tell me that you wanted a divorce? Why couldn't you just say it up front?
You know, these modern women, they think that their life is it's one of those soap operas. That's what they're talking like. This is, that's how they talk about their lives. They don't live in the real world.
I hear you whisper underneath your breath. I hear your SOS, your SOS.
So 80 to 90% of all divorces are women leaving men. Unpack that for us. I looked up the research and it's 70% of women that are initiating divorce. Would you work at a company that only had a 30% retention rate for their employees? 70% of the employees are leaving the company. Would you think, oh man, these employees suck? Or would you think, what the hell's wrong with that employer that they can't keep any employees? So then I put my researcher cap on and I read a lot of articles from psychologists who are doing all this marriage counseling to see what's really going on. And hands down, the women are mad. They feel tricked. They get into this marriage thinking that they're going to have a partner and they're going to have support. And the three biggest reasons that women are walking away from marriage is, number one, their partner isn't emotionally intelligent and doesn't know how to emotionally connect. So there's no actual friendship between the husband and the wife. Number two, the women are carrying all of the mental load and emotional labor for the entire family, and it's exhausting. And number three, they're just not accepting abuse anymore. And abuse is defined as someone who tries to control you, manipulate you, or neglect you. And the statistics show that 50% of women, once they get divorced, don't remarry. They're done. But 70% of men will remarry. Because studies also show that marriage is much more beneficial for men. They live longer and they're able to make more money in their jobs because someone's holding things down at the home fort. And marriage is not beneficial for women and tend to rely on women to do all of the household labor, to do all of the mental load of making doctor's appointments, purchasing the things for the house, doing the cooking, the cleaning, and that the women are carrying the emotional labor as well. Meaning they're always trying to initiate connection and help regulate everybody's emotions better. I'll also add that only 27% of women say that they regret getting a divorce, whereas 39% of men say they regret getting a divorce. So the institution just isn't working for women much anymore. And so much of that has to do with the fact that men are struggling to regulate their emotions, to be emotionally intelligent, and to know how to emotionally connect with a woman, especially around the area of having empathy. So that's my interpretation of the statistics. What's yours?
And once again, just tell me you didn't put your researcher cap on. They're getting divorced because they had a fantasy of what life was going to be like. They weren't really there to work. They weren't really there to do the work. They can talk about how they're going to do therapy and all this stuff, but then they get into a marriage where you have to work as a team and they don't follow instructions at all. They just continue to do whatever they want to do. And then they get mad at you for saying, oh, so you don't really come here to be a teammate. You come here to do your own thing. You just want a co-signer.
'Cause you said forever, now I drive alone past your street. Psych.
Fuck being good, I'm a bad bitch. I'm sick of motherfuckers trying to tell me how to live.
If that's you, you done gone through a lot of plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery.
So the men that you know who are divorced, do they leave their marriages because they're bored?
No, that's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid.
No, men who leave their marriage, well, most men and men that I've spoken with, friends with, or clients,
Yeah.
they leave their marriage because they're existentially unhappy.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're right or justified.
Yeah.
A lot of them haven't done their work.
Yeah.
And you mentioned this in one of your posts, right? Where it was like, well, if you want to say, well, I need to figure out who I am, or I'm on a journey of self-discovery, that's fine. But like, you can start that in your marriage.
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It can be done. And if you haven't unpacked any of your own stuff yet, and you're just like, I'm unhappy, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, I don't think anybody's suggesting that's always universally okay
option,
or that you're in the right, or that or at the first inkling of that, you feel that it's a sign of a, deep soul journey that's needing to express, and you have to learn to flex your angel wings from planet Schnarfsville or wherever the hell everybody says they're from. I'm a purple child and I just can't be in a human relationship or whatever all that stupid shit is. See, you got me wound up. Yeah, guys, the men that are leaving their wives and their family, they're deeply, deeply unhappy. They're not just like, well, I couldn't figure out anything else better to do today, so I'm just out of here, or I really wanted to go golf, but it rained, so fuck it, I'm leaving my family. Like, it's not boredom. That's dumb.
Yeah, that is dumb.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, but it's not that.
Where do you think the perspective?
I mean, I can share my experience as well. I mean, I was the one that left my first marriage. Mm-hmm. It wasn't out of boredom.
No, it was after years of exhaustion.
I spent a good 2 years. In retrospect, I spent longer than that being unhappy, but I spent a good 2 years consciously being unhappy and wondering if I could spend the rest of my life that way. Mm-hmm. And started doing a lot of my healing work in my marriage.
Yeah.
And the more healing work that I did, the more awareness that I built of myself and how I wanted to live my life. And even then it took a lot. It took like
you had to be dragged out.
It took one of the metaphorical like straws that broke the camel's back, kind of a thing. It wasn't even really a straw. It was an entire additional bale of hay that did it. And I waited and I waited and I waited to be sure. Yeah. And there was that one moment where something was said, and the specifics don't matter. Actually, maybe it does matter for people, right? Yeah. Because I was doing a lot of exploration about, again, who I was and what was true for me, what was my authentic way of expressing and living life. And I realized how hard it was for me to do that in my marriage, right? Yeah. And then there was a final moment where, we were both stressed and under duress and unhappy. It's not like she was like, yay, this is amazing. She was unhappy too, right? Mm-hmm. And she finally one day she said, I just want my husband to make his life about me. And I went, damn, I can never do that. Yeah. Yeah. That's not how I'm built. Yeah. And I don't do that with you. We have an amazing marriage. Mm-hmm. And all we want to do is spend time with each other. Yeah. And I would never say that my life is about you.
Thank God.
I know. Seriously.
I don't want that.
Right?
I don't want that weight.
Like, yeah. No, it's I don't want to, that was my favorite thing my favorite thing about being around you early on in our relationship was that I was like, wait, I can be near somebody but not have to take care of them or worry about them, or like you could take care of yourself. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Now, you've worked with lots of women in your practice. And, neither one of us are licensed mental health practitioners, but we're people who work with people's emotions and bodies because
you work with enough people and you learn to see what you learn to see.
Yeah. No matter what field you're in, you can be attuned to these patterns and you can have the kinds of conversations that reveal things, right? Right. Even if you work as a hairdresser, you can see patterns of why people leave their spouses, right?
Yep.
It comes up in conversation. So what is your perspective on why most or many women leave their husbands? Is it the same?
I think my experience is that if a woman gets to that place where she's deciding to leave an otherwise, good on paper marriage,
Yeah.
it's even worse.
Oh, tell me.
The situation. Well, men have, they're sort of, by design, so to speak, more inclined towards this puer complex, which has one of the shadow qualities is taking flight.
Mm-hmm.
Some men, they just go on their, hunting trip twice a year, and that's enough. Other guys, as long as they get up into the mountains, every month and do their thing, getting high up. Other men do that or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So there's lots of ways that show up, but one of the ways taking flight shows up is leaving.
Emotional, being missing emotionally or physically?
No, just leaving the relationship.
Okay.
The part of the puer complex is like, I got to go. I'm too pinned down. There's too much responsibility. There's too much commitment. Those are the qualities that are anathema to the puer.
Okay.
Right. So it's like, no, I got to get my Peter Pan mojo back. Right. I got to get my sports car. I got to get my young girlfriend. I got to feel alive.
Okay.
I got to go on my adventure.
So why is it worse when a woman leaves?
I'm just saying that when it's much more likely that, if a man is unhappy and getting ready to leave, that he's actually in the puer complex. It's super common.
Yeah.
Like almost every man, like 100% of men are going to have something like that rise up in them at some point, even if they never give voice to it or never express it. Right?
Okay.
That doesn't happen as frequently in women. It's not as wired into women because women tend more towards the Senex complex, which is family, commitment, responsibility, security. And none of this is good or bad. It's just part of the sort of like how the gender split shows in the psyche, right? So if a woman is getting ready to take flight, I think the chances are much better that it's warranted, is my point.
Oh, interesting.
That she has been holding on for dear life for a long, long time and just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
That's my experience. I mean,
I concur
Okay.
with your conclusion. That is also my experience.
Yeah, I don't coach people in relationships, and I'm very clear with that. I'm not a relationship coach. I'm just repeating back to you what you're telling me and what I'm seeing is how I communicate to people. But if I were to sort of dumb it down into relationship coaching, I find myself in a position far more often sort of coaching women or helping women understand that their relationship does actually suck. And they're doing all the work. And there is more to life than just, sorry, everybody, there's more to life than being a mom, even when you're a mom. Mm-hmm. There's more to life than being a wife, even when you're a wife. There is absolutely more to it. And women in middle age, that's a tough revelation. It's like, well, wait a minute, my whole life, when I was starting from a child, when I had romance fantasy dreams, and then into the reality of marriage and motherhood, for 50 years, I have defined myself as a wife and a mother. And now you're telling me that's not everything?
I just had a revelation as you're saying that. You have to psychologically make it, and not chronologically, but psychologically make it to middle age to understand this.
Totally. That is a huge, that's why so many people are, because they're still in their sort of youthful idealism.
Yes.
Yeah.
They haven't really grown out of it. They're still in a fantasy of how life should be.
Yep.
Rather than in the reality of how life is.
Absolutely agree.
And they've not felt their existential stirring for more. That typically happens in the late 30s through early 50s for most people.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, love.
And sitting and listening to what he says, nobody's leaving a marriage because they're bored. That's a lazy explanation of it. Most men who are walking away have been unhappy. We always talk about a woman's happiness, but a man has been unhappy for years, quietly carrying it, wondering if this is just how their life is going to feel. Right? It wasn't a snap decision. I think I heard him say, it's the end of a very long, very exhausting sort of internal conversation that nobody else knew was happening. Right. And what's getting me right now is how long men actually sit there before they leave. Right. Years and sometimes decades. And they're trying to figure out if they can just push through. You heard him say, well, I did the inner work in my marriage and I just tried to do this. I tried to do that. I tried to adapt. I tried to accept it. And the whole time they're doing that alone, right? Because, bringing it up to these women, because a lot of modern women don't take accountability for anything, bringing it up to them just starts another argument. So they go quiet. They just don't say anything. I'm just sitting there ruminating. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what to do, trying to figure out how to solve the problem. That's textbook how men solve problems. I just go quiet. I go off and to have my alone time, right? But a lot of women say, oh, he's content. If he's quiet, he's content. He's happy. Instead of using your gut, like you like to say, when a man is cheating, using your gut and saying, there's got to be something wrong with him. Hey, maybe I should ask. Maybe I should try to dive deep into that. You don't. You say, oh, he's content. He's satisfied. He's all right. When really it's not contentment. It's a man who's already starting to kind of pull away. It's a man who's already starting to grieve, like y'all like to say, the process of, it seems like nothing ain't ever going to change. I don't think that this is going to be for me anymore, right? She don't listen. She not trying to make me happy. Yeah, but this happens a lot less because men are taught to stay loyal, to stick with something and try to really figure it out. So you have to see in these situations, if a man is leaving, maybe there might be something to that.
Well, hello, gentlemen. Maven here. So the world is changing very quickly. And something that's going to be really important for you is to make sure that you are in a very authentic relationship. Some of you don't have a bad marriage or a bad long-term relationship. You just have an inauthentic one. So right now the pressure isn't about divorce. It's about integrity. So are you staying because you really love her or you're just afraid of being the bad guy? Are you thinking about leaving because it's truly broken? Or are you tired of having hard conversations and calling it toxic? Because what's going on in the cosmos right now, there is no performing love that you don't feel. You got me? So no more surface gestures, no more I'm fine when you're not. Love isn't a flimsy greeting card. It's something you either build or it will erode. So before you decide to stay or go, ask yourself this. Number one, where have you been pretending? Where are you being fake as fuck? Number two, where do you keep abandoning yourself to keep the peace? Anybody do that? And where are you living in a fantasy instead of having contact with reality and what your relationship really is? So before you decide anything, you just need some radical authenticity about the truth of your relationship. Is it legit? Is it real? Does it feel good? Or no? Should you stay or should you go? And when you're ready to get real honest and you need a little assistance, my DMs are open. Like, share, and follow for more wisdom from the Maven.
My husband checks my phone constantly. He doesn't trust me. He's paranoid, insecure, and controlling. You resent him for it. Maybe his parents didn't love him right. His ex cheated. You gave him reasons not to trust you. Even if you didn't cheat, have you lied? Have you been emotionally unfaithful, even with your friends? Or times when you were not transparent? You had secrets? You hid things? How many times have you tried to fawn or placate your husband because you were afraid of his reactions? So he checks your phone. He's trying to protect himself. He's trying to catch you before you hurt him again. Here's the solution. You have to become trustworthy. Stop hiding. Just be transparent. Answer his questions and don't get defensive. Show him you have nothing to hide. Because when you become a woman he doesn't have to check on, he'll trust that he is the one woman that will never hurt him. He'll believe in your future because you gave him a gift that he never thought he'd have.
If guys don't do right by her, and I say that with these little, because what does that really mean, right? Does that mean, oh, he didn't spend enough money on the date? Oh, he didn't call me back when he was supposed to. Oh, he didn't text back right away. Oh, he was looking at his phone. Like, what? Who knows what it was, right? It could be any small thing that then they are utilizing their social media, TikTok in particular, to then humiliate you, right? So you'll see all the time these women, and they do it. They sometimes mention guys, names. Sometimes it's a first name, but like within her entire circle now, people will know potentially who that is, especially if you're like a college girl and everybody knows everybody.
What would you say to women like me who are building something for themselves, but they still want to stay soft for love?
What a good question. A woman that needs to survive, yet ultimately understands her deepest commitment, being with a man that she values and respects. I get this a lot. It's like, how do I be feminine and then do something masculine? It's like, the answer is you don't. This really hits a bone of whether or not there is belief in good men. But there will never be good men if there's no beauty to inspire it. To really answer that question in its totality is when you are given an opportunity to make deeper commitments to those avenues that you've built. Let it trigger and elicit the feelings of hopelessness around meeting the right guy or the lack of faith in that, and realize what it is that you really prioritize. Because for a woman, if you want to meet a guy by tomorrow, you could. And I'm in the firm belief of that.
Yeah?
That available women that are open attract men day of.
Interesting. So are you basically saying that for me to find my man, I have to drop my job?
Watch what it protects. Because I promise you this, with a masculine man, you're going to have to be willing to give that up. Now, you might not have to, but you have to be willing to. It's not talked about a lot. That the man that you marry is the man you risk losing your life for.
Yeah.
Childbirth didn't become something that didn't kill people until very recently. That commitment existed before modern medicine did. So don't forget that that still exists.
Yeah.
I have a serious question for people in committed relationships. If you are in a committed relationship, but you've put your husband in a celibate relationship, is it fair for him to ask for an open marriage? Because you're not leaving him, but you're also not meeting his needs. Now, if you look at me and you say, Becky, absolutely fucking not. That is not okay for my man to step out on our marriage. Well, I do agree. I do agree. But in the same sentence, then, why aren't you meeting his needs? If you're not willing to leave him and he's still meeting your needs, clearly he's doing something for you to stay. Why are you not meeting his needs? How is that a fair relationship? Just saying.
The number one reason women cheat is workplace.
I believe it, 110%.
So I would never let my wife work. I mean, I trust her, don't get me wrong, but just why would you put her in that environment to begin with?
I would never put my lady in that environment, bro. It's not that I don't necessarily trust her. I don't trust the guys around her.
Facts.
And for a woman to constantly push back, I know women are really good at pushing back, not as good as men at pushing back, right? But she's going to have days where she's not as strong. She's a woman, bro. Women have to be cared for. Women have to be protected. That's what I was taught by my grandparents, and that's the way I think, bro. The family structure is strong, bro. And that's what I see as kind of sacrificed, right? With this new culture of both parents working, is it gets kind of hard to have your kids kind of stay in line and kind of get pointed in a direction.
When fathers aren't around, you'll often see little boys who are more impulsive, who are more aggressive. So the answer is fathers and mothers are both critical to the development of children, which is a very controversial thing to say today, because if you're raised without one, you are missing a piece. But they're not the same. And they're not the same because our hormones dictate they're not the same. So fathers produce a hormone in great quantities called vasopressin. Vasopressin is the protective aggressive hormone. And what does it do? It helps fathers to protect their family. There was a study that was done where mothers and fathers lay in bed and the baby cries, and the fathers sleep through the baby's distress cries, but the mothers wake up right away. Okay. But with the rustling of leaves outside the window, the mothers sleep through it and the fathers wake up right away. Because the fathers are attuned to predatorial threat. So our nurturing hormones make us different.
The only ones confused about why women are the prize are the ones that ain't got one. How would they know?
Hi, married man here. A prize is something of value that comes with a benefit. For instance, when an NBA player wins a championship, they're able to make more money and secure better deals. A Nobel Prize winner gets $1 million. A Pulitzer Prize winner gets $15,000. When a golfer wins the Masters, they get $3.6 million. The players that win the Super Bowl get a bonus of $164K. The team that wins the World Cup get $42 million. The Kentucky Derby winner gets $3.1 million, and Powerball winners get hundreds of millions of dollars. So ask yourself this question: are you expected to give money, or do you expect to receive it? Because if you're receiving it, you're not the prize. You're just the recipient of it.
You want to know why good men cheat?
It's not because they stopped loving you.
Yeah.
It's because you stopped making home undefeatable. I'm not talking about cooking and cleaning. I'm talking about energy.
Right.
I'm talking about the way you greet him when he walks through that door.
Yeah.
The way you speak to him. When a woman is fed, desired, and chosen every single day, she stays.
Yeah.
When a man comes home to peace, respect, and a woman who actually wants him, he stays. That is loyalty, not a promise. It's a reality you create.
Right.
But most women have lost this. They wonder why their man pulled away, why he stopped pursuing, why the spark died. Honey, you killed it. You nag him about everything. You dismiss his wins like they don't matter while expecting him to celebrate every small thing you do. You punish him with silence. And then you're confused when he starts working late.
Yeah.
When his eyes wander.
Yeah.
When he stops trying. Here's what you don't understand. When you reject him over and over, when you make him feel undesired, unwanted, like a burden, you are literally breaking the biological bond that keeps him attached.
Women are very intimidated by men who are calm, men who have a focus and a level of path in themselves. If we can't label a man, we can't put a finger on it, but we're looking at you. You know what I mean? Like, we are attracted to you, but we don't know why. It doesn't always have to be about the looks or what you're wearing. It's all about the energy you bring into the room, the aura.
I wouldn't do another public relationship because no matter what, they take the female side.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens. I seen this couple, right? The girl said, look, I wasn't really even doing that. I was just partying. It was a Halloween party. I went to the party. I wasn't with them. And then the next 2 days after she say that, she seen twerking on a nigga. We thought you were just partying. Well, it's no big deal, but she could. Then here go the comments, the girls. Oh, she can't twerk on the nigga? Imagine what the nigga did. You don't even know if the nigga did nothing. She ain't just doing that for no reason. This is what the girls do. They just start making
validate her.
Yeah, they start making up imaginary shit that happened.
Hey man, I don't make the rules. It's just how this shit go. Literally seen a couple cheat at the Coldplay concert. He got put on blast on the Kiss Cam. The man received most of the backlash. Guess who was also married? The woman. Women literally gave her an interview just so she could explain her side of the story. Did he get that type of interview? Fuck no. No, nigga, you a shitty individual. No, never mind the man who got shit on, fuck his feelings, fuck his thoughts. That's just how they look at us, man. We'll always be looked at as the bad guy, and that's how women think that they cheat better than men.
There's many men out there that are incapable of getting women. Have you ever heard of the term called incels?
No.
Okay, you wouldn't know of that because it doesn't pertain to women. It pertains to men. An incel is a man that's involuntary celibate. Women are not involuntary celibate.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Sure.
There are women out there that cannot get dick, and there are men out there that cannot get the JJ.
You mean like a woman that's in a coma?
No, a woman that stupid.
Check this out. A tradition like no other. Jason Momoa meet and greet photos have turned into a hilarious internet trend, mostly at the expense of husbands. In countless pics, Momoa showers fans with bear hugs, lifts them up, or goose around while their spouses look on in mock despair. Gentlemen, I've been saying this for almost 5 years now. Women no longer respect men. And not only do women not respect men, we have infrastructures in place to allow women to embarrass their man. Steph Curry's wife, if she could go on daytime television and complain about not getting attention.
I have zero male attention. And I'm like, is something wrong with me?
Nobody's safe.
Give me your number. Me too.
God taught us that marriage is sacred. And you got girls like this, just messing around with it, not caring, wanting to cheat on their man. After that, man gets her everything. Because that car what she's driving right there won't be his, it'll be her fella's. You're wanting to know why marriage is so sacred? Download the Avon app. You can ask a question such as, why is marriage so important? And it'll give you Bible quotes and give you the teachings from the Lord to show that marriage is sacred and important. 80% of marriages always fail because of the women. They always want to jump from man to man. They get bored. And that's why marriage ends. Sad reality. Stay woke in these streets like big burden.
Can try to look at it like we're not equal. We provide equal value. And men can do things that women simply can't. You have
Can I ask what? What can men do that we can't?
I mean, men build everything. We don't. Men protect us. They fight wars. We don't.
What do they protect us from? Other men?
Women have always fought in wars. Women have built so many things.
Yeah.
So many things.
But in the world, like the
Women
roads,
also weren't allowed
the
to.
buildings, the architecture, men do all of that.
Women
Men
were
are the
also a part of
geniuses.
it, though.
It's way more male geniuses that are female geniuses.
That doesn't answer the question, though. The question was, what can they do, not what have they done?
Well, she's answering the question a little bit, but you're saying like they're more men geniuses. They stopped us from reading. They stopped us from going to school.
Okay,
the
but
first
is that
black
an
woman
issue
lawyer
right now,
wasn't
so-
allowed to practice law. She got her law degree, but she wasn't allowed to even practice and be a lawyer. They stopped us.
But
from
that's
this
not
stuff.
what modern feminism is about. That we have surpassed that already. You guys can read, you guys can vote, you can do everything you want to do, and you keep making issues. This is why you always talking about the patriarchy and capitalism. You feed it. Okay? Why do you think that you are a feminist in the first place? They wanted you to work. That's what they wanted you to do. They wanted two people in the household to work versus one, right? But you hate capitalism, but you serve it. You would rather serve capitalism than serve your man, the man that was put here to protect you.
Yeah, but does
whether
your
it's
man
from-
make enough money so that you don't have to work? This is my thing. If we're talking about family units, these are two people. They get to decide what happens in their unit. And reality is some men are not going to be able to provide all that they can. Talk about pressure. I feel like feminism was good for men because it kind of relieved them of a little bit of
It
pressure.
lifted everybody up.
Well,
Yeah,
it
but
really
it's
did.
made men so much more depressed than ever. It's made them weaker.
I think they just don't like the fact that now they see, oh, women can be as good as us because now that we're allowed to have all these rights,
Why
do you have to be as good as men? Why do you have to be?
Because we live in their world. And I'm saying because we live in this world with them where they are suppressing us, their bar's up here. If our bar gets lifted, so does theirs. Our bar gets lifted, so does theirs.
Why do women need to be less than men? Yeah. Women are not less than men. They're different from men. We provide equal value, but we're different. You can't, it's no way that if you got a man that's your age, your height, whatever, he's going and you race him. You're not going to beat him. More times than not, they're going to dust you, which lets you know that you are not equal to them.
In what sport?
Not in that way. You're not equal. They're stronger. They have more logic. You're more emotional. It's just to speak to the emotion.
For the vast majority of it, a man has had a vision, and he's worked by himself or with other men to create that vision. A lot of times when nobody will go with the man, he has to go by himself. That's just, man, come on. Why do we have to sit up here and do this? And this is why we have the problem that we have to do today. Y'all don't like even the most basic stuff. Y'all don't want to give men anything. Well, what can men do that nobody, do y'all understand that just because you can't do something that a man can do or you're not as good as it as a man does not make you incapable? It doesn't make you a terrible person. It just means maybe you're better at other things.
A lot of women want the assets of a good man, but they don't want the assignment that comes with him. They love the idea of you. They love the protection, the provision, the lifestyle. But the moment you present them with a standard, suddenly it's a problem. You set a boundary, she calls you sassy.
Yeah.
You ask for accountability, she says you're controlling.
Yeah.
You demand respect, she says you're asking for too much. Here is the truth. They want the CEO treatment with an intern mindset. They want the prize without the price. But listen to me. You are not a buffet.
Try.
She doesn't get to pick and choose which parts of you she respects. Either she meets the standard or she misses the access, period.
You ever notice how the Bible only gets pulled when it's time to talk about what men owe? Suddenly, it's a man should provide, a man should protect, a man should lead. Chapter, verse, quoted with confidence. But the second the Bible starts talking about modesty, about submission, about self-discipline, oh, now it's context, culture. It doesn't apply today. So which one is it? Is the Bible a timeless truth? Or is it just a prop you pull? You don't get to demand biblical men while rejecting biblical women. You don't get to cherry pick scripture and still claim moral authority. If we're going to use the Bible, use the whole book, not just the parts that benefit you.
I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm going to excuse you from this hearing. I'm going to find you in contempt, and I will pick you up. 10 days in the Cab County Jail. You turn the video off again, okay? Did you understand me, Miss Bouvier? Did you understand me, Miss Bouvier? Unmute yourself and say so. Miss Bouvier, I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm going to excuse you from this hearing. I'm going to find you in contempt, and I will pick you up. And your child will then go to Mr. Habib. Unmute.
I stand behind my documents. For the record, I stand behind my documents.
You can stand behind whatever you want. Do not unmute like I asked you. Ms. Marshall, go ahead and remove Ms. Bouvier from these proceedings.
Yes, ma'am.
I find you in contempt of court. 10 days in the Cab County Jail. Child will be presented to Mr. Habib.
And she gave her multiple chances. But of course, modern women don't follow the rules. They don't listen to nothing that you got to say. And as you can see, they don't listen to what men got to say. They don't listen to what the judge got to say. They don't listen to what nobody got to say. Right? The person that they might listen to the most is their boss on their job. But at a certain point in time, if that boss asks them to choose the team and what the team needs over themselves, modern women will still continue to choose themselves as the ultimate over anything. Over anything.
If a man is always there for you, don't confuse consistency with weakness. If a man is available to you when you call, when you need his presence, he shows up, you text him, he replies, you call him, he picks up.
Yeah.
That's not luck, that's commitment. And that kind of man should never be taken for granted. Because most people don't realize someone's value until they're gone. Don't let that be your lesson.
There is a trend happening where women are now, you see a lot of these women getting married young again. You see that new wave happening now where in some of the smaller towns, and you see this like trad wife reemergence, you see some women marrying young. So what's happening now is some of these women that are in their late 20s are having friends that are marrying young and doing the right thing young and on a path. And they're starting to like go insane, seeing their slightly younger friends do all of those things because they're already feeling like they've missed out. So I have a feeling that this is going to flip. And instead of women hitting the wall it got to a point where it was like 35, then it was 38, then it was 40. I guarantee you're going to see that wall is going to shift and you're going to see late 20s. It's going to be catastrophic because you're going to have a lot of trad wives and a lot of women waking up and being like, oh, I don't want to wind up like that. I do want to get married early. And then you're going to have the late 20s start freaking out beyond compare. So just wait for it.
Really understand what it is that most women want out of relationships. And it's so deeply confusing to me because a lot of y'all even in the most perfect version of your relationship, you're still echoing think pieces about patriarchy, right? It's the same dichotomy, but just they works to your advantage as a woman, right? Most women, right? They're like, well, I want a man who provides, who protects. And it's what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? 9 times out of 10, when you ask a woman what that means, she's literally only talking about financially. Physically protect her or financially provide for her, right? I saw this video the other day and she was like a man complaining about not knowing where to park gave her the ick. And I'm just y'all complain about everything. Y'all want is so insanely superficial out of a relationship that I'm just maybe I understand why I'm single now because everyone's operating from this societal place where I'm personally looking for something spiritually transformative. Right? If it's not spiritually transformative, I don't desire it. I know that what I want is from echoes of an old world or echoes of a past life. I just don't understand the concept of relationships these days. Most of the women that I know are happy in relationships as long as the guy kind of brings them peace, he's nice. Just this sense of happiness. What I'm looking for is this deep compatibility, in every aspect of the way. I'm looking for somebody to transform me spiritually. I don't just want to be wined and dined. I don't want to be just physically protected. I don't want to just be financially provided for. All of those things are nice. And I would not reject any of those things. But none of those things are even remotely close enough to a sufficient relationship for me. That, I don't want to say it's bare minimum because that's not even bare minimum. Those are extras to me. That's not bare minimum. That's extras. I'm looking for soul level compatibility to a point where I can't even explain it, but I would know it if I got it. Yeah. Like, I don't even know. Like, I think y'all want patriarchy. You just want a version of patriarchy that's nice for you.
A woman will do whatever her boss says, but barely do what her husband asks. There's a problem.
I might get a lot of hate for this, but here's my take. The reason a woman will respect her boss more than she respects her man is because she knows that she'll get fired from that job if she doesn't act accordingly. She knows if she constantly has a bad attitude, if she mouths off, if she shows up late too often, if she doesn't perform the tasks and duties of her role, her boss will fire her. But when she knows her man will not, when she knows he has no boundaries, when she knows she can act however she wants and he's still going to stick around and be loyal to her and give her all the benefits of being with him, of course she's not going to respect him. A lot of guys make the mistake of thinking that setting a boundary is telling her what she can and cannot do. That's not a boundary. That's just an attempt to control her, and it's going to make you look very, very insecure. Because to her, all that sounds like is complaining. You see, a boundary is telling her, hey, if you continue to do that, I am going to leave you. And the most important part of setting a boundary is following through with the repercussions you promised. Because if you don't, you're just complaining. And once she knows that you won't, she will view that as a weakness and continue to disrespect you and do whatever she wants, knowing that the most you'll do is complain about it. A man who struggles with setting and following through on his boundaries will always struggle in his relationships. Because if there is no chance that she will get fired from the relationship, what reason does she have to stop doing what she's doing?
I think most men, they're taught not to quit, right? If you quit, then you're not a real man, is what a lot of men think. But this woman is literally ruining your life. Now, once again, if you're married, if you've been in a long-term relationship, like you're living together, then legally that makes things a lot harder than just picking up and leaving. But for a lot of guys out there where you can pick up and leave, if she's not listening to what you're saying and you've talked about it, maybe you've even gone to therapy, it might be time for you to get up out of there. It might be time for you to get up out of there. They're not listening. They're not trying to listen. They're going to continue to do whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it, however they want to do it. And really honestly and truly, you're stressing yourself out. That's the long and short of it. You're stressing yourself out because she's not going to change. She thinks that she's the prize in the relationship. She thinks that she's the only one that gets to pull rank, that gets to override anything that's been said. That's why she's doing that. That's why she's doing that. Once again, if she has a kid, it don't matter. It don't matter. The kid might not be able to pull rank. The kid's gonna have to obey, unless mama says. No, you don't have to listen to anything he says. He's not your dad. That's what they'll say. So once again, the modern woman and her feelings are going to come before anybody else, unless she says, oh, that's my, she'll do the same thing with a friend. If a friend comes over and her friend is acting crazy, say, hey, we never did that in my house. Hey, chill out. Don't do that. Don't say that. Hey, don't be acting like that around my child or around a kid. Oh, well, she with me, she could do that and ain't hurt nobody. My feelings come first. What I want comes first.